What do you think about Darin Corbin?
He sucks.
Oh man, why does he suck?
He's a heel. You see his thing?
Oh man, what kind of stuff are you saying to him tonight?
That he sucks, that he has dad bod, and a lot more.
What do you like most about coming to these shows?
Mostly doing Darin.
I'm driving this into my radio, checking out the airwaves for something to believe in. Give me something to hold you, give me something to sing about. Give me a reason to care, I'll sing along forever. Water down worth covered in song, trying to hide the truth. That life is beautiful, life is pain, give it to me straight. Touch my heart, I'll sing along forever. I'll sing along forever. I'll sing along forever.
Darin Corbin, I'm a pro wrestler. I've been going for about 18 years now. I was hooked early, and the thing that I always liked about it is you could always be anything from a superhero to a supervillain. That was always I always enjoyed it, but I think the part that drew me in was how you could captivate a crowd, a large presence. And I feel like a lot of us, maybe not all, but I feel like either if you're extroverted, you really enjoy that moment. If you're slightly introverted and want to be that person, you kind of yearn for that, you know? The thing that was always great for me is it was my grandma that got me into it. So my grandma and I used to watch wrestling technically together. So my grandpa didn't like it. My grandma was kind of a closet fan. So we would always like watch together. Mm-hmm. And then I was an only child. And for a little bit, I have stepbrothers now, but I was an only child. And she would watch me wrestle the Invisible Man. And so she would react as if she was a fan. So even having like those moments, you know, playing it up was fun for me. And then being able to carry that over into wrestling and kind of, you know, create this world for yourself, I always thought was super fun. It gives you like endless creativity.
We've been looking for Darin Corbin to get a word with him before his return matchup with Gangrel tonight for the American Championship. Now, we found him, but it's not good. Darin, it's Pat. Darin, you have a...
Pat?
Yes, it's Pat.
Hi, Pat.
You have a match coming up, your rematch against Gangrel for the American Championship.
That's right now?
It's pretty quick. You better get in there.
Oh.
Are you all right? You need some
No,
help?
I'm good. This is
Okay.
my chance to win her back, Pat.
Well...
This is my moment. I
that-
got this. I got this.
That could well be the case.
Pat, I'm going to be a changed
Okay, you
man.
better all right. Well,
I'm going to be a changed man.
Okay, well, Darin, good luck. I'll see you in there.
I'm doing this, Pat.
All right.
You always have moments where you kind of feel like I'm going to do this. I'm a kid. I'm going to wrestle and I blah, blah, blah. You know, it's like a dream job or whatever. So I had moments where honestly, I looked into like the Shawn Michaels Wrestling Academy. I was like, well, that's a spot I could go. I tried to look around for stuff. I used to read PWI magazines and all that. The moment though where it happened was I was going to college up in St. Cloud State, and I used to play intramural sports with a fraternity, and they were like, they found out we were huge wrestling fans, and he goes, do you know about this place called MPW? They train people to be wrestlers. And I was like, no. So he did a business profile, senior year, business profile on it. And he gave me the contact info. So I went to the website, checked it out, and I looked at the roster. And I was still in that mindset where you had to be like, 6'2", 6'3", whatever. Of course, the first person that I click on is Eric Rowan. He was trained at the same spot I was. And I was like, oh, I am not tall enough to be here. And then I clicked on a couple other people and they were like 6 feet, whatever, my weight, all that stuff. So then I thought about it and I was like, that could be cool. Now, as I did more research on the place, it was kind of over my winter break of my first semester freshman year. And I was at home and I looked it up and they had just had AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels. I was like, well, they must be legit if they had them come in. And then in my PWI magazine, there was a photo from MPW on the back page. And in my mind, I was like, this is a sign. And then when I looked at training, my grad money that I had was exactly the cost of training. And I was like, so I got back. And so at that stage, that's when I was like, this is a sign. Our first match on Easter Sunday, it was April 11th, 2004. And we still were training all the time. But we had our first matches, and then like it was nice because like family would keep coming in, so like, oh, this is great. Like they really like them. So we were training a lot up until like the point that MPW shut down. But like that's when I had my first one. It was all kind of sped up because of like the holiday and everything. But yeah, it was just like we just tried to do as much as we could and absorb as much as we could. And then finally we got that opportunity. We're like, yes, absolutely, we'll do it. And as long as it was like passable, we figured we were great. So everyone was like, no, you guys did very well. You did very well. And then it's like, from there, it's like all the learning curves and all that stuff, So it's like, get the first one out of the way. So I remember like going out and being, I'm 160 pounds at the time and whatever. And, like I was a little like insecure about a couple things. And just at the moment, I was like, not sure about even having my shirt off in front of that many people. So I didn't even know where I was going to go from there. But I was just like, does it get easier? Do you get less nervous? And then I realized you never stop really getting nervous. You always kind of feel it because somebody told me, they're like, the moment you stop being nervous is the moment you're stopped caring, and then you don't really want to do it anymore.
If everybody could just shut the hell up for about 3 seconds.
It just seemed easier to make people hate you than it was to make them like you. So that's how I always wanted to be. But, my favorite guys were always like, I liked Pillman and Eddie and Sean and Piper and Savage, just like over the top everything. And I was definitely not there in that sense, but I just wanted to always be kind of like the evil politician style, where yes, he's a jerk, but he says a lot of the right things, which, is always, which is kind of funny in how every element of movies and everything. That's what I always pictured. I always wanted to have like that following, and that's what I always thought. But when you're new and you're just trying to figure yourself out, you can't quite get there yet. And that was always a part where I was like, am I ever going to be able to do that? And then you start seeing what comes out of you naturally, and you're like, how can I make this work? Because a lot of people, like you said, they were like, how do you envision yourself? And I've had people who cannot say a word to me, or barely say a word or a sentence, or can't look you in the eyes in public. And they're like, I'm going to try and be like Randy Orton. And it's like, you're probably not, if you're struggling to even, come up to me and talk to me about this. So I always had like this massive, like, I guess, image of trying to be like a inspiring leader, but the bad guy. I always wanted to be the bad guy in the role, because that always was something that I was always so intrigued by in any movie growing up. Most of the incidents with referees have been on their end provoking me. Many of them have either missed calls, they have been in the wrong place at the wrong time. you can clearly watch the tape. When I threw that chair, it was intended for Scott Story. It wasn't intended for the referee. Did I laugh when I hit the referee? Yes. Yes, I did. I'm not going to lie to you. It was hilarious. I mean, you don't see that every day. But, okay, so maybe there's been a little bit of a consistency with me ginger snapping referees. And people have asked me about my temper in the past, and people have asked me if it's under control. And, you know, I think if you look over the past 2 months, I've only injured 4 referees. I've only sent 2 of those to the hospital. So technically that's pretty good odds. Later, the North Star Express, these super babyface hometown boys were starting to get booed. It just seemed like we had become like when The Rock was Rocky Maivia. We were just getting booed for like just existing. And it was like, oh, we like these new teams because they aren't you. It almost felt like we had been one of the only tag teams for so long. And then especially at WrestlePalooza, it was like, if you're going to see the tag match, it was going to be North Star Express versus somebody. And I think it just got to a point where people were like, nah, you know, and deep down, part of me is like, please let me turn. Let me be the asshole that I want to be. Like, because like there was a match that we were the good guys and we won and people were throwing beer cans in the ring at us. And you're kind of like, do I embrace this? Or do you have to be like, yeah, everybody, like, but in the back of my mind constantly, I was always like,
6. Ryan Cruz working over the head of Sailor. Corbin comes into the ring. They push Sailor to the ropes. Up and down, crashing. Gut check on the knees. Double drop kick to the head.
The like major shift is Arya gets signed. And Arya is he's the top heel at the time, top bad guy. And he's the top. And that spot's open now. And when I was like, I don't see any longevity in the North Star Express anymore. Clearly the fans are already turning on us. And if we both can't, I was like, you know what? That moment where I'm like, just let me unleash everything that I've had to endure for the past year on you. And it all came forward on the turn on Ryan. And then I can revamp myself. And all I thought about for the next, basically until the next show, I was like, how can I change my look? How can I do whatever? And it just always stuck in my head, go for it. And what you asked me about what I thought of myself when I started, I was kind of thinking, you're in a position where you can do that. And who's going to tell you no? Be the person that you always wanted to be. As long as you get people talking and people want to see you, and whether it's seeing you get your ass kicked or seeing you be the one getting revenge, it's all that matters.
If I fall back down, you're gonna help me back up again. If I fall back down, you're gonna be my friend. If I fall back down, you're gonna help me back up again. If I fall back
think is try and keep that right in the back of my head is the, you can't wait to kick your little brother's ass. And sometimes it's funny and sometimes it's serious and sometimes it's whatever. I actually think I excel in those 1999 pay-per-view, WWF pay-per-view hardcore street fights where it's anything goes, where they would brawl through the crowd and use whatever. I think that's my wheelhouse. I am pretty resilient to a lot of that stuff. But comedy was my bread and butter because a lot of people always told me comedy didn't work. And when I started doing comedy, I thought of it as when I could get people to laugh, they're getting a reaction. And so even on the bare bones level, I was one of the only ones who was willing to make an ass out of myself when I started. So I knew that that wasn't true, that people didn't like comedy. But then you're always like, well, comedy only gets you so far. Well, what if I am funny, but I can still be serious when the time comes in the ring, because I've trained to be a wrestler, I can be a good wrestler, or I can take punishment, and I can deal it out. Well, where's the switch flip? And that's what's always taken me. So like, I enjoy actually having a different perspective on being able to look at different matches.
Corbin, do something! Here we go.
Oh, we go! Right into a head scissor. Corbin's hip toss blocked. Quesadilla praise it.
What I didn't have before when I started was that ability to kind of live in the moment when I'm in ring. And now I have it where I can create those moments, and I do it. And a lot of people are always like, especially when they watch and they know me, they're like, your smirk is so genuine when the entire room boos you. And I was like, it's 100%. And that was exactly like where I wanted to be. And it is, you know, it's funny because it's not even so much like those are my level of cheers or however you want to look at it, but it's just really like, I know that what I do works, but I also can't wait to find more reasons to tick people off, you know, and like, it's a challenge now, and that's where it's fun. But I absolutely love it, and you're right, I don't want to go back.
If I fall back down, you're gonna help me back up again. If I fall back down, you're gonna be my friend.
Darin can't finish.
He has no idea what that means.
No clue.
Darin, stop.